opened up Instagram for the first time in like 4 months today. And I was like, what happened? It's so ugly. Like whatever the new layout for Instagram is, it is not attractive. Hi.
I don't know if mine's changed, Allison.
Mine, like everything is now the size of a reel, even if it's a square photo, and they've done that sort of blurry background that picks up a color in the photo. I am not loving it. I'm not loving it. But what I am loving is seeing all our beautiful friends here today.
Hey,
hello,
friends.
hello. So glad you guys are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Mubina. Are you in Dubai or are you in India?
I'm in Dubai. I travel in July.
Yes, July is the perfect month to go to India. It will be great.
Gorgeous. Running away from the heat here. Bye-bye.
It's so much better to be there than Dubai, that's for sure. I'm going to Kuwait in July because I just don't have enough heat and humidity.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel sorry for you.
And I was feeling sorry for myself here in Philadelphia with Manny having the windows open when it's like 70 degrees and 64% humidity. I was like, babe, I can't. Anything over 60% humidity, like I can't have the windows open. Doesn't matter if it's cold or hot. But never mind. I don't know anything about humidity now. Comparison, perspective. Oh, Buick wrote such a good email today. I don't know if you guys are on her email list. She has a new album coming out. I'm muting everyone else, and so you can just unmute yourself. But and Buick, if you want to say hi. But she has a new album coming out, and she was telling the why and the how behind it. Wow. Wow. Thank you for telling us the story behind it, Buick, and letting the album come out the way that it wants to come out too.
Buick, will you drop the sign up link for your email into the chat when you get a chance? And then I'm sorry, talk. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, of course. It's actually a memoir in songs, which is something I'm excited to say to a group full of writers. It's a memoir album. So yeah, I'll put the link in the chat. Thanks so much. Thanks for reading, Ashleigh.
So welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. I loved it. You know, female singer-songwriters are just, that's the music I like and I've always liked, right? And every like decade, it's like someone new who I sort of find. Like started with Alanis, okay? Because I was like 14 when Jagged Little Pill came out. And every great album I feel like is the albums I love are a memoir in songs. So I'm so glad that you are naming it that and presenting it to the world that way. And I think that every time someone makes something in a slightly different way and says, I purposefully created it like this because this is what it was telling me, it gives each of us a little more freedom to say, oh, yeah, it doesn't have to be exactly in this box. Like it's like this, but it has that innovation built into.
Well, welcome everybody. We are so glad you're here. We encourage you to take a moment and if you would type in the chat where you're coming in from and what you're currently writing. We would love to know where you're coming in from, what you're working on. I know we always have a lot of memoirists, but I know we also have at least one thriller writer here with us, at least one mystery writer, at least one YA, at least one picture book. And I just love that we bring this giant mix. Ooh, Tanya just wrote a memoir in poems. That sounds fantastic. Really love it. Well, we are so excited to have you here. Today, we are going to talk about do-overs. Remember that tweet nobody liked? That Facebook post you were sure was going to start a discussion that got one comment from your mom? The reel nobody engaged with? The pitch you just can't get an editor to take? We're going to help you fix that. Chances are whatever held back audience engagement is something that you can also fix in all of your writing and the first pages of your book. So we are the Writer's Bridge. I'm Allison K Williams, and I'm the author of 7 Drafts, and I teach authors about platform and lead writing retreats.
I'm Ashleigh Renard, author of Swing and 3 weeks, new titles coming out, Keeping It Hot, the workbook. And it's actually like workbook pages. I have this amazing designer who was just an angel. I coach writers and business owners on how to present yourself on social media so your audience finds you. And by audience, I mean not just followers, I mean people who are eager to buy what you are selling.
Love that. We call this the Writer's Bridge because we are all about building platform, and yet a platform is a thing on which you stand up on and yell at people from, whereas a bridge is a two-way street where you get to talk to your readers and your readers get to talk to you. Before we dive into today's topic, we wanted to share some feedback we got from an Express Lane member. The Express Lane is our paid membership newsletter. It comes out on Mondays and Fridays, and each one has a small platform building step. And Annie says, I just joined and I've been so excited to see the Express Lane hub with all the past lessons and all the past Writer's Bridge episodes. It's like doing my own self-paced MFA in platform. Thank you. We are so glad the Express Lane is helping. And if anyone else is interested, Ashleigh has just dropped the link in the chat. Hey, Ashleigh, what's our question of the week?
Our question of the week is, how do you like be clever? Which is actually a really good question. Really good question. Someone asked me something similar this week, and I sent them the Allen Iverson, we're talking about practice meme. Because Allison, what is the myth that people have like about extroverts or people who are just clever?
Yeah, we think that people are naturally extroverts. We think people are naturally funny. They're naturally clever. And yes, some of them are, but practice will make you sharper. I like to think I am a reasonably funny person. I made my living making jokes for quite some time. I practiced a whole lot. I recommend taking an improv class. Some of them are even offered online these days. And think through your sentences. Before you send that tweet, before you post that caption, give your sentences one more polish and think about putting strong nouns and verbs at the beginning or the end of each sentence. So for example, if I say, I co-host the Writer's Bridge with this lady who is really hot and gosh, I like her, that's okay, but it's kind of blah. But if I say, I host the Writer's Bridge with Ashleigh Renard, who's a fucking hottie, it's much more impactful. It's tighter, it's more focused, it's sharper, and it's got a strong verb at the beginning, I co-host, and a strong noun at the end, hottie. We all know what it is. We all want to be it. And Ashleigh, I do not mean to overlook your piercing intelligence in any way. It just happens to come wrapped in a beautiful package.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you for that. What Allison said is right. Okay. We have to practice. There are lots of ways that we can practice and that we already do. I want you to look at what was the funniest text message you sent yesterday. Start leaving voice memos for friends through text message or through Instagram DMs or the Marco Polo app, where then you actually look at the camera and you could sort of practice your delivery. Allison got her practice street performing. I got mine trial by fire, coaching adolescents for years. I would know in real time, am I funny? Am I making sense? Do these people like me? Right? Just from their expression. And I coach synchronized skating. I had to get 16 teenage girls to look exactly the same doing something I decided they should do. So getting the buy-in from people and making sure you're communicating clearly is something we all need to practice. It's another reason I love Instagram stories. Every single day you get to say it differently. You get to say it again because they expire in 24 hours.
And as much as you can, you are not a jumbo jet slowly making its way down the runway. You are a helicopter or some kind of strange bat plane that takes off vertically and immediately. So always open with the hook. Start with the good stuff and then get better from there. Just like that. So let us get into some flops. We have some wonderful volunteers who have popped up their flops that for us to fix, and let us see what the heck happened. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. I have these kind of pulled up. And right now, I think you're all looking at Zoom, but let me pop this over to one of our things. Everything's at the top of my screen.
That's
all
okay.
Right.
So as we go through these, I want you to think, how does this apply to my main platform that I like to work on, like whatever app you like to post on? And how do I do this same thing, even though I don't think I can do this same thing? Okay, really pull it in, like what am I learning about my stuff from this, even if you never post on Twitter?
So Laura is joining us on the replay. Hi, Laura. And she wonders, why did nobody like this tweet? Was it too nice? My tweets, including my cat, get the most engagement. Humans, not so much. And the tweet is, my friend Kat Score introduced me to a new show, Pottery Throw, where artists compete making art, much like the British baking show with ceramics. So concept-wise, this is a really neat idea. I think there's a lot of people who are British baking show fans. I think there's a lot of people who want to watch soothing reality TV rather than mean, nasty reality TV right now. But right now, this is a statement. It's not an invitation. The response is, that's nice. I'm glad you like it. So Laura, consider telling us, what do you love about the show? Who do you recommend watch it? Maybe ask, is anybody else watching this, or am I the only person? Think about, is there something parallel to your writing or something that you're emotionally engaged in? So for example, I actually just tweeted about Bake Off and I said, it's like the Great British Bake Off saw me making slides and decided what would be the most soothing possible background noise, because I'm like bullet point, og, strudel. And that got a moderately decent reaction, but there's an emotional element in it. Ashleigh?
I agree. Whenever we make a post, we want to be starting a conversation. We never want to post something just going, I hope people like this. What kind of invitation are we putting out there to, like, what was the weirdest combination? Or if you could make a weird combination of reality shows, what would you make? You know, Love Island and Iron Chef, or you know what I mean? What would you do? Like, you could, there's so many ways you can do this, but we are offering a little bit of our own outrage, humor, encouragement, and saying, do you have some too?
So Laura's normal Twitter feed has a lot of cats in it. She posts really fun cat cartoons, like this cat book clubs where the cats are all sleeping on top of the books. They're funny. They're enjoyable. They give us that little candy moment of feeling good about something. And as it happens, Laura writes these wonderful novels, often YA, and one of them is called Breakfast with Neruda. So here's what I want to know, Laura. You love Pablo Neruda enough to make him a major theme in a book. His poems are amazing. Lots of other people love Pablo Neruda, and you love cats, and lots of other people love cats. So I want to challenge you, Laura, that you should be doing Pablo Neruda plus cats content. And I'm not 100% sure what that's going to look like, but I'm imagining a photo of your cat with a poem from Pablo Neruda, and the cat is like lying on it or whatever. And you're saying, you know, the cat really loves Pablo's use of imagery in this poem, you know, or this is my metaphor for Pablo Neruda and the cat. But I want to challenge you, do some stuff with Neruda and cats, because I think people would really, really like it. That's all.
Love it so much. It's giving people ideas in the chat as well. And just so everyone knows, you're going to get a replay of this episode tomorrow. It's going to be live for 2 weeks, and it'll include the chat transcript and all of that. If you ever want the full archive of our 40-some episodes, that's one of the things you get with Express Lane.
Exactly. So let's move over to Tanya's Instagram post. Gosh, I love this picture. And Tanya says, I'm putting together a series for Banned Books Week, which is September 18th to 24th. Great planning ahead. To gain book suggestions and start the conversation, I posted a version of this on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. There were some really great comments, but nothing like what I was expecting. Then I tried it as a story and still not much response. I'd love your notes and feedback. Ashleigh, what are you noticing here?
There are a lot of questions that are all very deep and stacked on top of each other. And they're questions that I think smart people are going to be answering. So I would want to make sure that my comment is well crafted. If I'm commenting on a funny meme, I'll be like, hell, that was funny. If I'm commenting on something like this, I need to give it a little bit more thought. So prompting or making the answers a little easier, I think would be more of an invitation in. Allison?
Yeah, because this whole thing about, do you read banned books? Which ones? Why were they banned? What compels you to read them? Any one of those questions is enough for a whole entire discussion. Even when it's reasonably deep, you still want to let people answer it in about 10 seconds or less on social media. So maybe get something really specific. Has your kid's school banned any books? Bet the moms have an answer. What would you do if your kid wanted to read a book their school banned? Have you ever gotten in trouble for reading a banned book? Because if you ask me that, I can tell you about the time the runaway shelter confiscated my satanic Bible. I was really indignant about that. The photo is fantastic. And I think if you want to do like a themed kind of look for your banned book stuff, do this again with a series of colored backgrounds and the same pose, and maybe profile a series of banned books. And you might ask your audience, have you read this book? What would you tell a kid who wanted to read this book? Because people love giving advice.
Mm-hmm. People want you to give them advice, or they want to be invited to give advice. And they want it in a way that then, like I said, it's starting a conversation. Another thing that Tanya could do here is, if there are any organizations that are doing a really good job about this, or if there's anywhere people can donate, can take action, because some people might just be like, it sucks that they're banning books. But if you're saying, are you feeling frustrated about this? Does your kid want a book? Do you want to give here, check out this story and go to this GoFundMe or whatever, to give people, even if it's not, your own charity, to direct people to what they can do. It's really helpful as well.
So let's pop on over to this lovely blog. And by the way, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We are all about the questions, and we love answering what you want to know or amplifying what you think. So this is from Sue Lick, and this is on her personal blog, Drugs for Bipolar Disorder Thwart Motherhood Dreams. And she says, I did this blog post because a friend asked me to. She has received some encouraging emails because of it, but I thought it would bring more interest. No comments. One comment on the Facebook post that's promoting it, which is right over here. Same nothing on Twitter. I didn't put it on Instagram because I honestly didn't know how to translate the blog to an effective image. And Sue was kind enough to share with us her blog statistics. So if you do a blog on WordPress, it will tell you how many people are following you, how many people are viewing your stuff, how many people are showing up each day. And Sue has a respectable number of views here in the 2,000 to 5,000, which is pretty good for an individual writer with a blog. And one of the things I'm noticing here is that one of her blogs has significantly more views than the others, Fighting Mistaken Identity on Mother something, something, something. So I would particularly look at that blog and go, okay, what does that blog do that people really engaged with, and try to make other blogs do more of that. But we also have some other feedback for you. Hang on a second, wrong window there. Let me pop back over to the Firefox. There we go. Ashleigh, what are you noticing here?
Well, what we want to do is make it as easy as possible for people to consume our content if it catches their attention. Okay, so first, catching their attention. What I like to do when I post blogs or newsletters is share the entirety of the post as a Facebook post. I want people to be able to, if it pulls them in, it's the title, it's that great lead sentence, that's what they're going to see before they have to click on see more, right? We pull them in, then we deliver, we give them something really, really great. Anytime we write a whole essay, we know how we want people to feel or how we want to encourage them or during that piece of work, right? We know the emotional journey, the narrative arc we want to take them on. If it is posted on Facebook, then they are going to like it right there or comment right there, okay? There's easy ways, Sue, that you can just put a like on Facebook link on your page. So then any like or comment you get on Facebook counts as a like on your page. And even replies to comments count as more likes on your page. It's like a Facebook like button generator, and it'll take you to that page. So then whether people are seeing it here or they're seeing it on Facebook, there's that social proof that's starting to build up about the conversation. And then whether they are seeing it on your website or on Facebook, to me, it doesn't make much of a difference. I just want more people to read the whole thing.
So one of the things I'd say here is I think you can have a stronger hook. So I just realized that when I click over to Sue's Facebook, I'm actually showing the wrong blog. This is a different one. But one of the things to think about that probably applies to this other blog as well is don't start with the link, because we're going to see the preview. We don't need the link up top. You can put the link on the bottom. Sometimes people just don't get it is okay, but it's not really yanking me in and making me go, man, I can't wait to read this blog. Whereas your title is actually pretty good. Here comes another clueless question about childlessness, which I am interested in, which is interesting, which is fascinating. And then we kind of get into like, there's a setup for this story. I received an email last week from a radio person. It's not launching me like a helicopter immediately into the blog. And so for this one, your title's really clear: Drugs for Bipolar Disorder Thwart Motherhood Dreams. It's a little bit newspaper headliney. Like, I think it could still hook you a little bit more. It could engage you a little bit more. So there might be something catchy that you do. And then the subtitle is Drugs for Bipolar Disorder Thwart Motherhood Dreams. But the preview people are going to see is poet Sherry Levine always wanted to have children, but she has bipolar disorder, et cetera, et cetera. Should she risk passing it on? There's really big stakes in that are not being reflected in the first sentence of this blog. The other thing I would say is this is in the wrong place, because this topic is powerful and it is important. And most of us are not going to have enough traffic on our personal blogs to pull the kind of attention that this deserves. So I would say, take this down, rewrite it as either an op-ed or a more fleshed out factual essay, pitch it to the New York Times, the Washington Post, Scary Mommy, Parents Magazine, Psychology Today. Tie it into the current debate about women's abortion care, if you can do that without like forcing it in there, because it's topical and it'll catch people's attention, and expand outward from the personal story and quote some more experts. Think also, when it gets published somewhere that's a much bigger deal, put a really nice evocative quote on your Facebook, and you can also support it with some social posts. You quote a couple of books down here. So maybe get those books, or at least read the Amazon preview pages and put some quotes up, which will be things that can support you promoting this blog. The last thing I'd say, so Sue was saying, I don't know how to put it on Instagram because I don't know how to translate the blog to an effective image. So one of the things that we often forget about is that there is lots and lots and lots of beautiful stock photographs available for free. So when I search the words sad mother on unsplash.com, I get lots of photos that would be really beautiful for illustrating your piece. Like, look at this, the woman lying on her back, her hands are covering her face. That to me says I am in agony about something. And so when you do want to put it onto Instagram or you want to repost it, if the newspaper doesn't put a photo with it, or if you don't like their photo, go ahead and pull something else, because there are these great stock photos by professional photographers available to you.
I love this. I love this so much. We have some questions in the chat about Facebook lowering the reach of posts that have an external link. Yes. But when you are posting the whole essay there, and if it's a good piece of writing, people are going to engage with it, even if Facebook lowers the reach a little bit. And why I want it linked back to the website is that so the likes in both places add up together, so that if Sue has this many visitors to her site, we should like brag about that a little bit and be like, yeah, liked by 245 people, right? Because even if it's only liked by 80, but then there's a conversation underneath, we get to that number. Even when you like someone's comment, it counts as another like on your thing. So I mean, we can just let people know people are reading this and liking this. When you post it on Instagram with those beautiful photos that Allison showed, think about like which ones you're attracted to. And then if you do that often, go with like the same sort of color scheme, since you're picking beautiful professional photos anyway. Might as well just use that to your advantage for like a bit of cohesiveness on your page. When you take your full essay and you have to get it down to, can't remember the character count on Instagram right this minute, but when you have to get it down, that is an excellent opportunity and practice in being even more concise than you are. If I have to make this into 400 words, how do I do it? If I have to make this 100 words, how do I do it? Anytime we push ourselves to tell a story a little differently, I like to do it with my own stuff rather than just prompts. I like to say, I wrote this thing, now I want it in all these different places. How do I say that? Or how do I sum that up in a 1-sentence DM that I'm sending someone, right? Like anytime we distill and expand, we're going to get clearer on our storytelling too.
And when Ashleigh says, try to pick photos that harmonize, this does not have to be every photo must be beautiful and Instagram perfect. Sometimes it is enough to just go, okay, I'm going to post all of these photos and they all have a warm cast to them. So see, like my little chicken egg cups, slightly warm, the desk, slightly warm, looking at orange, slightly warm, love locks, slightly warm, all the way through. I did a whole series on Paris and it's all got slightly warm. Whereas up here, and I think you can see the difference because it's pretty marked, up here, I got into cool tones. So there's a butterfly, there's me at the beach. It's a sunny day, but it still has a cool tone to it. My Buddha guy has a cool tone. Even the desert has a cool tone. And this goes into some posts that are heavily blue, where I'm really just kind of going through this whole blue period, like Picasso. So that's something that you can do where when you are working on your photos in Instagram, even just in the native Instagram app, apply the same filter to every photo because it gives your Instagram a sense of unity. And that's even something that you can do on your website, on your blogging, on everything you do that involves a visual image. Repeat the same filter so that they look like they all belong together. Ashleigh, you are like the queen of all your photos look like they belong in the same place.
Yep. I use the same filter on Instagram and I light things the same way. And I use Lightroom mobile on my phone to like add presets. I want you guys all to know when you're in the Instagram app and you're choosing a filter, if you tap on that filter again, you can choose how much saturation of that filter you want on your image. So, there may be better lighting for one photo than another, but if you use just like 25% of that filter, now those pictures match nicely. So just remember, you do have quite a bit of customization in Instagram. Once Allison told me last year, if you see mine here, that when she thinks of me, she thinks of like pink and gray and black. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wear like pink and gray and black shirts whenever I record reels. Do you see this? We're like white, gray, black, because that ties in. And that was because of a comment Allison made in Writers, but that just ties in with the color scheme I already have for the quote cards.
I went blue in those photos I showed you before because my husband had gotten me a really nice pair of blue pants and I was wearing either these blue linen pants or the white linen pants with a blue top everywhere I went. And it was like, I will go blue because that will look good.
Carolyn asks too, for IG account, is it better to have all of your own pictures or add in some purchased? How do you make the decisions? You know what, everybody, I just decided I am going to use those blue light blocker glasses that are either clear or black and gray and rotate through like 5 different shirts. And that's it. I do that because it's easy for me. So whatever is easy for you and has a bit of consistency, your content is the most important thing. What you're saying, how you're saying it, always, always, always is more important. But just also go with what would be easy. Allison has some stock photos here, right, Allison, that really blend in.
But very
nicely.
few. And I want to address Carolyn's question about using all your own pictures or adding in purchased photos. The main thing to remember is that if you are using purchased photos, they will be next to your own pictures. And if your own pictures are not carefully framed and carefully chosen, then your pictures will look not as great next to them. And you can kind of see that here where my overhead shot of the Marriott Bonvoy logo, because the message is always put your name on your shit, is not as well composed, not as well lit. And neither is this nice circus photo where I liked the message, but it's not a particularly great photo. Whereas the photo of me and my husband is a professional photo. A professional photographer took that. The watch here is a stock photo. But then this was a hotel room. They had this weird arrangement of lanterns and I just took it and edited the heck out of it so that it looked professional. So you just have to make sure that your stuff looks unified and it doesn't look like, oh, here's something beautiful and here's something less beautiful.
Now we can post ugly shit in our stories as much as we want. Okay. And that's usually when it'd be like, one of my assistants, she was dog sitting and the dog literally crapped all over her car. So she was like giving people updates like in her stories. You're not going to put a dog shit photo on your Instagram feed. Now, this is like a little extreme, right? But don't even go, oh, isn't it funny how like my newspaper got like landed wherever when it was delivered? Unless you're going to make this like a really great conversation about, oh, you know, the funny things that happen in delivery or like working certain jobs. Like, don't put something up just to put it up unless you're going to put it in your stories and ask a question to get a conversation going.
Exactly. And I think too, there was another good question up here that's actually diving us back to Facebook, which is that, where are you? It is Sana. Sana asked, what's the difference between a personal Facebook account and a business page? I have heard that you can't sell anything of your business like books on your personal account. What's the best practice to promote your book on Facebook? Ashleigh, you are the self-promotion expert. I want to kick us off though with generally people don't want to be your customer. They want to be your friend.
Absolutely. How to sell your stuff. Don't talk about the stuff you're selling. Talk about the problem you're solving or the encouragement you're giving or the kinds of conversations that light you up that you had with other people to write your book, and continue having those great conversations and invite other people into them. Okay. I made it my mission to really figure out Facebook in the last 8 or 9 months. Facebook author page. Okay. Facebook has pages and profiles. Let's just make sure we're straight on that. Pages are like business pages or professional pages. Then there's your profile. This used to be just a personal profile. You could post things publicly on there, but personal profile. Facebook's making a bit of a shift to, I think, go to like a follower model instead of just a friend model, right? Because they were one of those, you know, one of the early friend models, and they want to shift it a little bit. So now some profiles are getting a professional designation, and then they can see their analytics and things like that. Okay. But there's still the page and the profile. I post everything public on both, and I use them as two little sounding boards to the same potential audience, but because of algorithm, maybe they're pointing slightly differently, and they bring in lots of reach, especially using videos on Facebook. Facebook is promoting reels like TikTok promoted short form video content 18 months ago. Like, I can get millions of views a week through Facebook business page, but it's because they're really pushing the videos.
Notice that when Ashleigh talks about her book, it's in the context of interacting with a reader. And even though it's a little bit of a sales pitch, it's also disguised as a service pitch, and it's kind of funny. It feels imperative to inform you that if you buy the Kindle right now, you'll be on chapter 4 before bed. You're welcome. And she's posting this, funny series of texts that she got that tell us a little bit about not, hey, buy my book, but do you want to have this kind of experience? My book will support you having that kind of experience.
And thank you for pointing that out, Allison, because that's the only time I talk about things I sell right now is when I get a message from someone saying, damn, I love that thing I bought. And then couple things here. When we're thinking with psychology here, other people are liking it. There's this like fear of missing out, right? Like Ashleigh has this thing she's selling. I've never bought it. I just look at her free content. Oh, but I see all these other messages from people saying, I'm so glad I bought that thing, right? And they're seeing me talking directly to that person. This person's basically live tweeting me while they're reading my book, and I'm responding every single time. Okay, so it's scaling the intimacy as well. Them seeing, oh, this person actually engages in conversations. They're not just here saying, look at me.
Yep. So let us dive into another section here. So this is actually a pitch, and this is from Lindsay. And Lindsay says, I'd love to know, why is nobody interested in my pitch yet? So it starts out, losing my job in the Great Recession meant I could no longer afford to live in the Bay Area. As a queer, gender nonconforming person who bounced around both coasts in search of a home, losing the one place I fit in was devastating. The only way I could leave was by promising myself I'd return, which is a great line. Given the rise in wildfires since I left, I no longer feel able to fulfill this vow. In a 1,200 to 1,500 word essay for whatever publication she's pitching to, I'll pair my personal journey of finding and losing home with an examination of the terrible math that climate change questions force us to perform, which is a lot of concepts in one sentence and makes me start thinking, how is she going to cover all this in 1,500 words? Over the years, I bargained myself from a permanent return to frequent vacations to a van life nomadic home. Okay, so now this is going to cover a very large scope of many years over several different concepts of how we interact with home. Shaving my dream into smaller pieces meant losing parts of me. By this point, I have lost track of what your dream is. The climate crisis forces us to ask similar questions. At what point does it no longer make sense to rebuild in disaster-prone areas? What costs can renters and homeowners bear when insurers curtail their coverage in disaster-prone areas? And Lindsay's great credits. There are too many concepts here. There are too many elements. It's not clear. Is this a big picture story about renters and homeowners and insurance and wildfires? Or is this a personal journey about leaving home and then climate change is why you can't go back? Will there be experts? Will there be statistics? Narrow down the story and then just add a couple of details about how you're going to tell it. Right now, we have a lot of ways you're going to tell the story and not enough about what the actual story is. Ashleigh, what are you seeing? What are you noticing?
Okay, I think that what I see here from Lindsay is a tendency we all have to try to show that our story has value in a lot of different ways or from a lot of different angles, or to start off telling people why we want to write about something instead of just writing it and letting the writing come first. Okay. So whatever is and I do not doubt that there are so many deep and impactful and well-told things in this essay that has been written or will be written in the future. I think, Lindsay, the question to ask yourself is, what is the most important takeaway and thread? And how do I take that? And maybe in the essay, you've already done this and you go deep into this one part. I think we all are craving deeper things rather than surface, broader, more of the same, right? Like you can go on Twitter and just read like the thing under that hashtag. It's just the same. After 3, you just hear repeats of the same 3. So deeper, I would like someone to take us deeper and just pitch it more succinctly, really believing that that thread that seems the most important to you and that you went the deepest into can stand alone without mentioning the other issues that are on the periphery of it.
So I'm just making a couple of little tightening things here that might make this second paragraph read a little bit more tightly. I'll pair my personal journey of finding and losing home with an examination of the terrible math that climate change questions force us to perform. The climate crisis forces us to ask, at what point does it no longer make sense? What costs can renters and homeowners appear, et cetera, et cetera. I think you can be really stronger up top about what's the greater cultural need. Why do the readers of this publication care? You know, what appeals to them? If you're writing for the New York Times, it might be more about the insurance angle. If you're writing for Bitch, which has sadly gone under, maybe you would write more about being a queer, gender nonconforming person in search of a permanent home and how climate change is threatening your identity. Sue in the chat says, I'd be interested in a story on just the nomadic van life. She's also a former Bay Area person. Nobody's going to reject you for one typo, but do just double check your typos. You sent this to me in an email. You probably sent it to other people in an email, so it doesn't pop up that helpful squiggly red line that is popping up on Microsoft Word. Nobody's going to reject you for one typo, but it does diminish your authority when we notice it. Ashleigh, anything else you want to add here?
I just think go narrower, go deeper on the essay and the way you pitch it, and just really going right, like Allison said, to take off straight up, go right for the hook. Grab the person who should be reading it should like trip over themselves to like scroll and read the rest. Okay, so go right for those people who are really going to care about it.
100%. Okay. Let me pull us back here. We have one more tweet from Lisa. And Lisa says, at 8:47 a.m. Eastern time on May 15th, I tweeted a question about requesting blurbs. At 1 p.m. the same day, I retweeted it. Why is nobody engaging with this tweet? Ashleigh, what do you see?
Oh, okay. So when we are talking to people, when we're trying to start a conversation, really start the conversation. Okay. So instead of just saying, and do you have any advice? Say, I'm feeling nervous about this. I've heard X, Y, Z. Are these true? Are these false? Should I be worried or should I be very worried? Just have some emotion in the question so that it pulls people in and it makes it like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to share this funny thing that happened to me with the piece of advice. Allison?
May 15th is a Sunday morning. And Sunday morning is never a good time to tweet because the saints are at church and the sinners are still in bed. If the sinners are reading Ashleigh's workbook, they're going for one more round before the kids get up. So it is also important to ask that question really specifically at the right time of day. This is a tweet that I would tweet it in the morning on a weekday and even a little earlier than 8:47 a.m. I would maybe use Twitter's scheduling function to schedule this tweet for about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Or I would tweet it in the evening at the time when the kids have been put to bed and the adult writers have time to talk online. Too many hashtags, it looks a little cluttered and they're not going to really help anyway because Twitter doesn't really function that way with hashtags anymore. And make that question really specific, make it narrow. Just like with Lindsay's pitch, get it really specific and really narrow. Author friends, how did you contact your potential blurbs? Was it directly on social? Was it via their agent or publisher? Or maybe try making it funny. I'm ready to start asking for blurbs. I just camp out on the author's doorstep until they agree, right? Do I need a portable toilet? You know, something that makes people engage, something that makes them laugh. Maybe make it a poll. People like voting in polls. How did you get your blurbs? Did you ask through the agent, through the publisher, through a personal connection, through a cold email? So think about how is this not just, hey, can you give me some professional advice, but let me reveal the kind of person I am in the way I ask this question. Let me give you an opportunity to show the kind of person you are when you answer this question.
Absolutely. We are going to put a pin in that right there. Listen, Allison said, I'm going to show you a bit about me. All right. Something that's a little quirky, or the way I look at things, or always compare new people to condiments, whatever it is. Okay. That weird little thing about you is going to make you memorable and interesting. And what Allison just said, when you go, weird little thing about me, people go, weird little thing about me, right? You're holding up this mirror that says, hey, we all get to be ourselves here. I'm going to create a place where we can like be a little off the wall, right? And then other people can do that. So don't be afraid of making it personal. Don't think, oh, who cares about the condiment thing? I would be fascinated if anyone does that. Please write about it, because I will join that conversation every day. Let people show themselves to you by just opening that door yourself.
I did a tweet recently that I had tweeted it back in January, and then I put the link in my most recent newsletter because I always like to have a tweet for people to engage with that's linked from the newsletter. And the tweet was, injuries when I was young and cool. Here's my fire eating scar. Injuries now. This is where the vacuum cleaner fell out of the closet in my Airbnb and hit me in the nose. And I put the link in my newsletter as tweet me your most amusing injury. And lots of people weighed in with like funny times they'd gotten hurt, funny injuries they had. And I think that was, kind of neat, kind of exciting. We have a great question in the chat. Samantha asks, an hour ago, I found out my novel Love and Fury is a finalist for the 2022 Chautauqua Prize. What's the best way to share it? I'm on Twitter and sort of IG.
I would share something like that in my Instagram stories. Absolutely. Share it in my stories. Tell people how you feel about this. If this is something like, oh my God, this was a prize that like I didn't even want to apply for because blah, blah, blah. These are other people. This is why I want to apply for it. But start a conversation that has emotion in it. I like to always go, I'm crapping my pants about this, and I know that like I shouldn't be, but whoa, yeah, this is making me anxious, or whatever it is. Okay, just tell people the story about why they should care about it. Chances are they don't know what the prize is, but they know you, and so they want to know why you care about it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I would also say this is a really great opportunity to announce in any Facebook groups that you're in, but in a way that is helpful. So in the platforms binder, which many of you are in on Facebook, and in the memoirists binder, which many of you are in on Facebook, both of those groups have rules that say that if you are posting something that is self-promotional, there must be something genuinely useful to the group in your post. Oh, I'm teaching this workshop. Here is a key thing you need to know about writing better, and I will be talking more about that in the workshop. In this case, you might say, hey, I won this award. My publisher entered me. It cost this much money. The deadline is this time of year. Here is the link for you to enter coming up. So think about how you could use this winning a prize as a way to lift yourself up and as a way to also lift other authors up. Another thing you might do, and this just came to me because I just love like sequences and things that are kind of ongoing. Pick out everybody else who's on the long list or everybody else who was a finalist and tweet about their book as well. So, show a picture of their book or, write a quote about their book that you think is amazing, or so honored to share a list with these people, tag them, say something nice about their book too, because that's also a way to get those authors to engage with you more on whatever platform you're talking about them on.
Yeah, and then you're celebrating everybody, you're tagging them. The very, very best place to tag someone is Instagram stories. And you could even shrink down their tag or put it behind a photo just by tapping on the photo next, because then they're going to get a notification in their direct messages that you tag them in your story. And with one click, there's a little blue banner that says add to my story. They can share it to their story. So I used to tag authors, their agents, their editors, imprint, their publishing imprint. And if I knew who the PR person was at that imprint, I would tag them too, shrink them all down. And then they're happy about it because you just gave them content for that day that has a picture of their book or something about the prize. And everybody is wanting for that. Everybody feels like they need to pump out more things every day.
Martina asks in the chat, should I share if I'm long listed or just if I win? Share everything. Share, hey, I didn't win this contest, but I'm so proud of myself for entering. Share, I didn't even make the long list, but I am so proud of my ability to get to the post office with 2 copies of my book, because for me, that is achievement. Share it all. Share it all, because people love to care about your successes. And when you are honestly enthusiastic about something that you care about, it doesn't look like bragging. It doesn't look like tooting your own horn. It sounds like something you're excited about, and we want to share your excitement. I also want to really quickly drop in my top tip for sharing about lots of people's books online. If you cannot afford to buy everybody's book, you can right-click on the book cover on Amazon, and if you transfer that picture to your phone or your reading device, it looks like you're holding up the cover of the book, even if that particular book was outside your budget that week. So think about, that's a way to show the book and display it nicely in a photo in a way that helps the author by, showing off their cover, but you don't necessarily, oh, it's still in hardback and I can't spend $37 on a book right now. Ashleigh?
We have a question in the chat that relates to this. Jennifer Kathleen Gibbons says she's going to be in a Chicken Soup for the Soul anthology that's coming up, how to promote that. And I said, what I would love to hear is the process of writing for one of those anthologies. I think Chicken Soup for the Soul is like this iconic thing from a few different angles, right? I think of it as like that feel good, at the same time, like, Oprah type, like feel good daily TV, little nuggets of TLC. Now I want to know, okay, what Chicken Soup for the Soul, which anthology did you pitch? Different ones? Did they contact you? I want to know from a writer's perspective, how do you get involved in that? What's it like? And then Jennifer Kathleen said, It's actually like a greatest hits thing. Like it originally published years ago and now it's in this one. I would love to hear, were you in contact with any of the other writers? Was there ever like a network event? Like, did you meet friends through being in the first one? How did you find out you were going to be in this one? In a writer's group, I would love to know what kind of royalties do you get for this? Or is it a flat fee? I just want to know all the things about anthologies because now my mind is racing with it. Also tagging the other people who are in the anthology with you in posts and saying something about the work they do. That's just a way to build the connections with your fellow writers.
Exactly. We are going to take 5 minutes in breakout rooms. You do not have to join a breakout room. You never have to join a breakout room, but it's always less weird than you expect it's going to be. When we come back from breakout rooms, we're going to tell you about the top 3 things you can do today to make your words fly into the world and your books fly into the hands of people who need them. We are also going to give you a very special invitation to guest star on an episode of The Writer's Bridge. So take 5 minutes, say hello, trade your socials, let the other writers know what you are writing. We will see you in 5. Let me just move. Nanny got stuck by herself. Let me move her. Anne got stuck by herself. Let me move her. Come on, move her over. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Awesome. Let me just make sure that nobody else got stuck. Oh, good. Eileen and Julie ended up together and they already know each other. So that's really nice. We are so glad y'all are here. If anybody is here in the room and wants to ask a question, please feel free. Hi, Denise. Nice to see you. Hi, Catherine.
Hey, Allison, how you doing?
Good, 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 good. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, the editing thing that I'm going to be doing with you from the last retreat, does it all have to be from the same work, or can it just be a bunch of different flash pieces that aren't
It can be
cohesive?
different flash pieces. Yeah, just send me 10 pages.
All right, cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Also, I was wondering if more than one of us are going to Hippocamp that are also on the book retreat. Is there a way that we can see if people want to be connected at Hippocamp at any time?
Let us absolutely do that. I am going to make a note because I'm sending like a, hey guys, welcome. This is what's going to happen email sometime in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, that would be great. I'm going to be at Hippocamp and then I'll be staying in my Airbnb for another week to run the retreat from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you say more about Hippocamp? I've seen it in passing and always wanted to sort of go, but haven't yet.
Totally. So Hippocamp is a creative nonfiction conference. I say it's probably like 70% memoirists and 30% other kinds of nonfiction. There's writers there at all stages in their career, from still planning out my book and trying to decide if I want to write one, all the way up to promoting my 3rd or 4th book. What I really love about Hippocamp is it's great for shy people because it's very welcoming and it's small enough that it's not overwhelming. And I also really like that it feels level, like the speakers interact with the participants, interact with the staff. There's not that kind of like, oh, well, we're the speakers that there sometimes is at other conferences. Ashleigh, you went for the first time last year.
I did. I went to Hippocamp for the first time last year. And then I went to AWP for the first time this year. And I left AWP early because after I had experienced, Hippocamp was my first literary conference, my first writing conference. And it was, I'll go every year. So welcoming, so informative. Every presentation, just there were panels, and some are just presentations from one person, like on a specific topic. Choosing what to go to and then being happy with my choice every time. It was just, it was wonderful. And then the person you're sitting next to and talking to is then the presenter in the next thing. And you're like, you're right. really loved that, getting to know so many people, as like Allison said, as participants, and then seeing what their area of expertise was too.
It's about $500. I want to say like early bird is like $485 or something like that.
Right.
They do offer scholarships. It's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and it's August 12th through 14th, I believe.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
Got it.
Nice, thanks. Yeah, Lancaster would be a nice place to be.
It really is. And if you stay near the conference, you can walk to all the shops and restaurants. There's a farmer's market right there. It's a really pleasant experience. I really enjoy it a lot.
It's a beautiful city. Lancaster City is gorgeous. It's like a tiny Philly. And I think someone told me there, and the people, the locals are very proud of Lancaster. I think that maybe it was even settled before Philadelphia. Like, I think it might be one of the oldest, it's one of the oldest cities. No,
Yeah.
maybe whatever. It's one of the oldest cities in the US. So it's just, there's some cool history there too.
Great, thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
By the way, Allison, I really enjoyed your workshop with Jane Friedman.
Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
It was a really fun one to teach, and it was brand new. Like, I hadn't taught that particular webinar before. So it was a big challenge to make it all come together, but I'm really glad that I did.
Oh,
Was
it
this
totally
the-
came together. Yeah.
The
Thanks.
marketing one, the marketing mind. one?
Writer Mind, Marketing Mind. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to hit the close all rooms button. Yay. Denise, I like watching you with your cat because it's like you're a supervillain, gently stroking your thoughtful cat.
I say that with my patients, and they're like, "You're the opposite of a supervillain," but it's a nice juxtaposition. It's so funny.
Love that.
But you both have the, Allison, you picked up on the supervillain vibe. That's so funny.
I support that. I would like to see a world dominated by Denise. I feel like more positive choices would be made. Yeah, Mr. Bigglesworth. Totally, Jennifer. Totally. Welcome back from breakout rooms. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are so glad to have you back as we dive into our last couple of moments here on the Writer's Bridge.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. So we want to let you know that if you often walk out of the Writer's Bridge feeling excited but a little overwhelmed, you might want to join the Express Lane, which is our paid membership program. There's information about that on the Writer's Bridge website. We encourage you to forward your replay email to a writer friend who you think would enjoy the Writer's Bridge and benefit from it. We also want to tell you that the next episode is the last one of the season. We are going to take a summer break after June 7th, and we will be coming back in August, which we did last year and worked out really nicely. Our next episode, our last episode of the season, is going to be What Now? Selling Your Book Long After Launch. And we want to feature as many of our community members as possible. So it's going to be like a mega panel. If you have had success selling your book after the launch, we would love to have you on the show just for like a 2-minute, this is what I did to sell my book after the launch had passed. Here's what I think worked out really well for me. Here's what you could do. Buick, maybe it's selling your album. It can really be whatever you did to deliver your beautiful, creative product to people after that initial buzz of excitement fades. And we are just really excited about hearing that. So we always want to leave you with some actionable stuff. Ashleigh, what can we do today to make our posts, our pitches, our essays, the first pages of our books fly into the world, into the hands of readers who need them?
Don't hit post or don't hit send until you know your why. We do not post things hoping someone will like it or someone will comment. We are writers. We are here to make people feel and make people think. So everything that goes up, you ask yourself, what am I trying to do here? Am I trying to inspire? Am I trying to educate? Am I trying to entertain? Am I trying to motivate someone to take political action, right? What is your why? If it's just, I want to make people laugh, that is a damn good why. But make sure that we have a purpose for everything that we're putting out for people.
Exactly. When you are putting your work into the world, start with a hook, start with the good part, stay narrow in your focus, ask a specific answerable question and put it in the right place. This is not about gaming the algorithm. This is not about being clickable. As writers, our job is to reach our readers where they are. And part of that is figuring out what clicks for them in their hearts, in their brains, in their spirits. People need your story, whether it's deep or whether it's silly. What makes them want to engage when you tell it? How can you entice them by saying, hey, this is for you? How can you encourage them to respond by presenting something they can wrap their heads around in the time they have? Hooking and encouraging bring people into your story. So make it easy for them to get there. Make it easy for them to get your message. We're so glad you're here. Please feel free to unmute yourselves for a joyful goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.